Welcome, all you BC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to the Biconic Review of Honor, otherwise known as the Bro, your weekly Ring of Honor review team. I am El Jefe, also known as Mikey around these parts. I am the face that kind of runs the place. This is going to be a fun one because I am joined this week by my other co-host right now, Mr. Undertaker himself, Jesse. Thank you for being here, Jesse. I'm excited to review this Ring of Honor with you.
I'm excited to do it, just you and I, for one reason is I don't watch a lot of the AEW products, so there's a lot of missing information that I needed for tonight. So I'm glad you're here to fill me in so I don't sound as silly as I normally do.
That is okay. We're gonna get through this together. I love being the person to be like, okay, so let me fill you in on what's missing information. It's one of my favorite things to do. But unfortunately, JVL and Andrew are both off doing things this evening, so therefore the dynamic duo of myself and Jesse are holding down the fort, and we promise not to burn it down too much.
At least we'll put it out. I'm not cleaning up after, but we'll put out the fire.
We'll put it out, but the cleanup is gonna have to come later. But
yes,
we're not gonna waste any time because we had an hour and a half long Ring of Honor, and we got a lot of They stacked this card more so than I feel like they needed to.
When I first pulled it up, I was like, oh, an hour and a half. There couldn't be that much. And then 4 pages of notes later, I was wrong.
There was a lot, and we'll talk about at the end whether it was truly worth it or not. But Ring of Honor opens up this week with a match between Isaiah Cassidy.
Let me pause you before we get chastised by all of our lovely fans. We need to start, as always, with the Code of Honor.
That is very fair.
Okay.
See, this is why you don't leave me in charge.
And now back to the opening bout for this evening.
Isaiah Cassidy, a private party, taking on Commander. This was our opening bout for Ring of Honor this week. And I have to say this was probably one of the longer matches we got throughout the whole entire night, too. I think it clocked in like at a good 10, 11 minutes. Listen, I am a big fan of, oh my gosh, is that private party? And I love the Isaiah Cassidy scream, and I love Commander. I thought this was a fun way to open up Ring of Honor. You know, I was naive of how the rest of the night was going to go. I was like, oh, okay, so if every match goes about 10, 11 minutes, then it should be okay. I was wrong by the end of it because this was the longest match of the whole entire evening. And really the only one that wasn't necessarily a squash match.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm one of the outliers because I'm not a fan of the Isaiah Cassidy character just because I haven't really been exposed to Private Party very much watching Ring of Honor. I saw him last week, I think he was on, and the match was pretty good. And this week it felt okay. I think I've been spoiled with Commander because I'm expecting so many great things from him, and he always delivers. But the start of this match for me was just really slow, especially for two. They were touting them as high flyers, so that kind of bothered me a bit. And Mike, I've got to ask your opinion because I don't know, and I don't want to be speaking out of my behind, especially when I'm not standing up. Isaiah Cassidy, to me, he's playing too much to the camera. Is that his character? Because he talks to the camera a lot. Doing it a little bit is good, but this to me felt like he was doing it so much that it was distracting me and taking me out of it.
I think this most recent iteration, because for the longest time prior to this, Mark Quinn was out on injury, so Isaiah Cassidy was bouncing around from faction to faction, and he was mostly with the Hardys, so Jeff and Matt, well, Matt was still in the company, and he was known as Brother Zay, so they shortened Isaiah's name to Zay, and he became Brother Zay as part of the Hardys in that little faction. Then, Mark Quinn was cleared, and they came back as Private Party. So, this time around, they are leaning more into the heel aspect of their characters because before they were kind of heelish, but they were over with the crowd. They were more considered faces, but now they're more so like the over-the-top heels. So I also had that as my critique because normally this version of Isaiah Cassidy will play to the camera, but I felt that this match he did it a lot.
It was too much for me. I mean, the match did pick up, and I was happy about that. But I didn't really get the ending. The sunset bomb counter that Commander had where he just backflipped out of it was really cool. But I didn't really get the ending. I don't know if it helped either one of the characters, either one of the talent out.
Honestly, and I could say this for a lot of the matches, I feel that a lot of the booking decisions tonight were like, we have talent on hand, throw them out there for Ring of Honor tapings. Go, go, go.
And it seems like, we booked an hour and a half. We have to fill it. Go, now.
Go,
do
go,
something.
go.
Have fun.
But Isaiah Cassidy picks up the win here, and he continues with Private Party somewhat being a staple in Ring of Honor. Who knows at this point anymore? It's like a revolving door. Everyone comes in and out when they please. So then We get a quick recap of what happened at AEW Dynasty, and then we get Andrew's favorite thing where they do the promos right after the match is over. We got to stop doing this because this is starting to get on my nerves when they do these interviews. I'm like, they just wrestled, they're sweaty, they're out of breath. Give them like 10 minutes to calm down. But we get this
Give them
segment from
time to
Bullet.
figure out what they're going to say. It's not just,
Oh, yeah.
like, it's almost like they're doing pop quiz interviews, which is not helpful for any of them.
It's like Billy Eichner on the street types of things. It's like, what's your favorite thing?
I've forgotten everything I've ever liked.
But we get Bullet Club Gold, basically your new unified trios champion. So they are unifying the AEW trios and the Ring of Honor 6-man. So they're your champs at the moment. And they're going to say they're going to be keeping these things for a while. Here's hoping that they actually defend the things. But who knows at this point.
On Ring of Honor, yeah, that would be nice. And Colton Gunn needs to understand that there's a microphone there. That's a voice amplification system. You don't have to yell into the camera every time.
Yeah, the guns, I'm like, who taught you how to do mic skills? I was like, I know it wasn't your dad. I don't know. On the one hand, I'm happy that Jay White is holding this because I feel that Bullet Club Gold has more potential to do a run with these trios / 6-man tag team championships. However, as we have on the AEW panels, as we have seen, neither of those championships have gotten a lot of time on television and have always been relegated to 0 hour on pay-per-views. And I want to forget that feud that we've had with the Acclaim and Bullet Club Gold for the last month and a half. It was awful. Nobody wanted to be there. We didn't want to be there. Which then I was upset at Ian and Caprice lying to me for the next match. They're like, we're going to have this 6-man tag team match and the winner of this is going to inch ever so closer. I mean, Dynamite kind of spoiled it when we got the bumpers for Collision who was winning this match. I was like, thank you so much, AEW, for once again ruining something I already knew. But we have the tag team of Top Flight and Action Andretti taking on the Dark Order in a 6-man tag team match. And honestly, I was happy to see the Dark Order. And I was happy to see Top Flight and Action. I was very torn on who I wanted to win with this, but I already knew the outcome of this because Dynamite spoiled that the Trios Championships are going to be defended on Collision tomorrow night on Saturday between Top Flight and Action Andretti.
You see, I didn't know that because I don't watch AEW, so that wasn't spoiled for me. So I actually enjoyed this match more than I thought I was going to. The Dark Order's triple kick spot was really cool.
Woo, it was beautiful.
And when did Alex Reynolds get back? I thought he'd been long gone.
No, okay. So Alex Reynolds has still been. I have seen him, but then again, he's been wrestling on Collision and Rampage mostly. Okay. So on the AEW universe, I get to see him a little bit more. And honestly, me and Adolfo get to see Alex Reynolds and Johnny Hungy more because they're usually relegated to Collision and Rampage. But yeah, that triple kick was a thing of beauty.
Ooh, after the pile driver that Evil Uno had pulled off, that got me. I thought they had won at that point. And then once I saw it wasn't, I was like, okay, that means Top Flight's going to win. Yeah,
so Top Flight and Action Andretti do win the match. I just want Ring of Honor to just keep Dark Order there, honestly, because AEW's not using them, and we need more trios factions in Ring of Honor right now because we're kind of lacking on some of them.
Plus, it makes sense having them being kind of doing the Freebird rule where two of them, if it's a regular tag match, two of them can go in. And this way we avoid as many thrown together tag teams that we know our colleague Andrew loves oh so much.
I'd love to see it. But again, Top Flight and Action Andretti due to win this match, and they will be facing off against Bullet Club Gold on Collision this Saturday for the Unified Trios Championship. Spoiler alert, probably not going to win, but hopefully it's an entertaining match. We then get our first women's match of the evening where we have Anna Jay taking on Allison Kay, returning from last week. Allison Kay and Marty Bell of the Hex coming back in Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor, just sign these two, please. We need women's tag team action. The Hex are a great tag team on the indies.
I was really impressed by this match. I didn't, going into it, I thought, okay, I know Anna Jay's going to win. Allison Kay did not get an intro. Whatever, it's going to be another swatch match. While it was, Allison Kay got a lot more offense than I thought she was going to, and really took it to Anna Jay to the point where I thought Anna Jay actually had a chance of not winning in that because Anna Jay didn't get much offense, and then she pulled that rear naked choke at the very end, just like snuck it on her, and it worked out really well. So this match was way better than expected for me.
Sorry about that. That was Randy Orton. The voices were in my head. Just kidding. But I have to say, this is probably the most vicious I've seen the Queen Slayer. Like Anna just went yoink. It was just like I was like, dang.
Yeah, that was a rough spot when she put it on. I was like, that definitely hurt. That was not a soft landing.
Yeah, that definitely was. But this was a fantastic match. Happy to see Anna Jay pick up the win. Anna Jay's in a really interesting spot on both Ring of Honor and in AEW because she's still in Ring of Honor and she's fighting Tony tomorrow or on Saturday on Collision. And then she had a match against, Miss Mina Shirakawa from Stardust. It's been an
Yeah, that was
interesting
a good
week, and
match.
I'm just happy to see more Anna Jay on television. But speaking of things I liked, we went backstage. We had an emergency MIT MIM meeting because we needed to talk about some stuff. And Billy Starks and Athena are beefing with Red Velvet and Queen Aminata. And this all stems from what went down a couple weeks ago at Battle of the Belts, where Athena defended her Ring of Honor Women's Championship against Red Velvet in the main event of Battle of the Belts, which was really nice to see. And honestly, that was really the only match that was worth talking about that whole entire time, as me and Adolfo reviewed that. But as Billy and Athena at Battle of the Belts were ready to beat up Red Velvet afterwards, Queen came in for the save and she headbutted the heck out of both Billy and Athena. And so Athena and Billy want to get their lick back, and that Red and Queen are not ready to come after them. I was like, good, we're continuing to feud with these two because I also have words after what we saw at Super Card of Honor between Queen and Billy of how Billy won that.
Yeah,
So I'm happy to
I'm,
see that Queen is still in the title picture.
I'm glad they gave us that Battle of the Belts recap because I didn't watch it, so I had no idea what happened, and it would not have made sense to me why there's this big feud going on. As much as I don't like that they're crossing over promotions to build it, I'm glad they are actually building a feud, especially with these two, because they did such great work with the tournament.
they did such great work with the tournament that I'm glad to see them still working together. But I've got to tell you, the line of the night, like for me, this was the promo of the night. But when Athena said that we are now in our nonprofit phase and we're granting scholarships for the biggest ass whooping, I think that's it. I got to write that line down. That is so good.
I need that on a t-shirt like now.
I would wear that T-shirt all the time.
I would. Jesse, me and you know this as well as JVL and Andrew do. Like, these three are like our favorites when it comes to Ring of Honor in terms of not just the women's division, but pretty much everything on Ring of Honor too. And I love these promos. That line also killed me, which we'll get back to who they're talking about later in the evening because they do make an appearance with their own promo, which I'm excited for. If this is what we're going to get for the next couple of weeks with these two titles being feuds like this, I'm here for it. Which then leads us into the return, kind of Mr. Johnny TV as he is set for action next, taking on local talent Will Austin. As soon as I saw Johnny and no entrance for Will, I was like, oh yeah, Johnny's winning this.
I mean, I expected as much. He needed a win after coming off of the loss for the Battle Without Honor. I had really high hopes for this, especially in the beginning, because they were working so well together. It was very fluid, like they had good chemistry. And then I don't know what happened. It looked like Will Austin lost some confidence and became very sloppy, the last 2.5 minutes of that match, and it kind of took me out of it. So it seemed like he was afraid to go full speed. So this could have been better, but something happened, and I feel like I got spooked.
Maybe, because I was also kind of picking up on that vibe as well, which was very unfortunate because for the first half, I was like, ooh, this is actually really good. And then I was like, oh, man. Well, I mean, it was still okay, but yeah, something happened where Will started second guessing some of his stuff. And then Johnny kind of just came in and whoop, I win. Haha. There we go. But Johnny TV picks up a win, trying to rebuild himself after losing to Dalton Castle at Super Card of Honor and just continuing to build that momentum. This is not the last we will see of Johnny TV or Tyia for that matter, because we're going to talk about them a little bit later together. Next, we get a very short squash match, 6-man tag team match. We have the return of Mogul Embassy. So
A very beefy squash match.
a very beefy. We're going to talk about it because this probably has my favorite tag team name of the whole entire night. But Mogul Embassy is back in Ring of Honor, so Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony, Bishop Khan and Toa Leona taking on local trio of Manders and the tag team known as Beef Tank. Like, there was a lot of pounds in that ring, and I was here for
so
it.
confused by their name. I didn't know who was who. I didn't know Beef Tank was a tag team. I was just like, okay, Nanders and Beef Tank, and there's 3 people. I was confused by it. I'm glad Ian and Caprice were able to kind of let us know that because But this was, I'm glad to see the Gates of Agony back, and I'm very impressed. The ring held up, is I think the best way I can say that. And again, I'll say it every time I see him. Brian Cage is just scary strong.
I mean, Swolverine, man, he cut his hair though. It's like, what? No, not the mohawk is gone.
I haven't seen him when he had the mohawk, so
nobody tell Adolfo that it is gone because his look. Adolfo is a Taken Man, but Brian Cage and Buddy Matthews are his 2 favorites. But nobody tell Adolfo that Brian Cage cut his hair.
I'm texting him right now.
Yeah, same thing. Yes, I immediately texting him a picture. But this was a very short trios 6-man tag team match. Mogul Embassy just dominated for the majority of this match. And
the entire match.
I was being generous, but you're absolutely right. Mogul Embassy just took control of the whole entire thing. And by the end of 6 minutes, they were the winners. Happy to see Mogul Embassy back. Here's hoping that now that whatever things that they were doing or issues that were going on, now we can see them back because, again, we desperately need to rebuild this trios division because we're lacking in that area. And, more tag teams wouldn't hurt either from the trios division as well, which would be great. All right, we got to get through this, and then we're out of, my moment of the whole entire night. First, we get the 3rd segment of the Premier Athletes. We get this narrated package from Smart Mark Sterling about Arya Daivari, which then leads into the backstage segment with all 3 of them and just literally Smart Mark repeating what that video package on Arya was for all 3 of them. I'm like, sir, we have seen all this already. You did not add anything to this. And the only thing is that they're coming after the infantry in Dalton Castle now. It's just like, color me intrigued, but I'm going to be keeping my eye on you. Don't disappoint me.
The video package was very well done. It was clearly high production value. I am just really hoping that the money they put into these is going to pay off as a story later on, because once the live promo hit, it completely deflated me. I was like, oh, cool, Arya Daivari, cool. I'll check this out. And then Mark Sterling kept talking and said the same thing. I was like, okay, now you said it twice. You've lost my interest completely. You have utterly lost my interest.
There's a thing in public speaking that a lot of people, special professional people who do debate and things like that, you don't want to double down or repeat yourself within the same line of dialogue or in the same sentence, because then you start spinning the wheel. And that's one of those debate no-nos. You don't repeat information in the same line, because unless it is for an effect to kind of get the point across, you don't need to repeat yourself. I felt like had we spaced out this pre-taped with Arya and then the segment at some point later in the evening, I'd be like, okay, cool. So they're gearing up for things. But having them back to back logistically kind of deflates the whole entire message that you're trying to go for, because pre-tape did a good job of getting that message across. And then the backstage just doubled down on it. I'm like, okay, you just basically repeated what we saw not even 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, why did you pay for all the production on that pre-tape one then?
You could have did either or and it still would have been okay. You could have just left it with the pre-tape, but no, you had to do both. I am intrigued to see what happens with, Premier Athletes and when and where they're going to start going after Dalton and the Infantry, because Infantry are currently busy with other things, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Yep.
So I'm going to be cautiously optimistic because I like all 3 of these individuals in Premier Athletes, but we got to get picking up on this soon.
Yeah. Do something, but not the same thing.
No. So we get something a little bit different. This is our 2nd women's match of the evening. We see Miss Leela Gray taking on Miss Yuka Sakazaki, who I am super happy to see coming back on over from Stardom and Japan in general. Yuka is very fantastic. I love her. I'm trying to remember what she said in interviews was the aesthetic for her, but it's very 1001 Arabian Nights kind of gear.
Okay, I
which
see that.
I love it. I thought this was, as soon as I saw Leila come out, I was like, oh girl, you're getting pinned. That's okay.
I know. I have a note down here that I think we got two more pins for Layla Grady, and then she's in the Robin Renegade spot.
Yeah, I'm like, man, I
Speaking
like
of, I hope
Layla.
they're okay. We haven't seen them in quite some time.
I know. I'm like, Renegades, if you are watching this, like, we wondering what you're doing. And if you're busy doing other things in the independent circuit, like, kudos on you. I know they're tag team champs in another independent promotion. I just forget which one. But who knows? I would like to see them back on my television screen soon.
Yes, I would. But back to the Layla Gray, of course, going to lose match. I wanted this to be better. I was really, really excited for it, especially with, could you say her name again? Or is it Yuka Sakazaki?
Yeah, Yuka Sakazaki.
Yuka Sakazaki, the magic girl. I was like, cool, this is going to be a really good match. And it could have been, but it was really sloppy. Like, I feel like I don't think that Yuka's style worked with Layla's style. And I think that was a discredit to both of them.
And this isn't the first time we've kind of brought up this critique too, because as we talked about during our quick review after Supercard of Honor was over, and just reflecting on the build too, it's really hard to have Western wrestlers kind of try to match the Joshi style of wrestling from the East, especially if they have never did any form of matches or wrestling or training in that Joshi style. Because there's some women who can do it very well, but that's because they've had experience. So Anna Jay, Toni Storm, Mariah May, all these girls have done Stardom, and so they know how to work the more stiffer style with Joshi wrestling. Whereas a lot of our Western girls like Layla and some other examples from other, AEW programming the last couple of weeks, it doesn't necessarily work because I don't know if they don't have the time to work together or to figure stuff out, but the styles really clashed in this one. It kind of left me disappointed on this one.
Yeah, and there was a moment where Yuka had Layla trapped on the ropes, and Ian and Caprice were trying to upset, like, oh, she's trapped, but Layla just kind of seemed like she was aloof there, like she didn't care. Like she stopped selling things. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if, something else had happened, or maybe she thought it was a receipt or something because of the two different styles, but this didn't really work for me, and I wanted it to. I'd like to see them try this again after they've had some time to work together.
Yeah, I wanted more from this. I still thought it was okay, but again, it might be one of those very clash of styles,
Yeah.
I guess. But I'm happy to see Yuka there. I hope she stays around for a little bit, but let's start pairing up our Stardom girls with people who either were in Stardom or know how to work that more stiffer Joshi style of wrestling.
Or let's let them try it again after they've actually had some time to work together.
Yes. Speaking of trying again, the Mama's Boys are backstage.
Speaking of moving on,
they still have the Serpentico mask, and they reflect on the string of losses that they've had within the last couple of weeks or so. And once again, Maria Kanellis comes in and she is disappointed in both of them, but she says everything is a learning opportunity and they just need to learn from this, and hopefully they'll be able to bring those ROH Tag Team Championships back to Maria. And she specifically made sure to say back to her, not to Ring of Honor, but back to her.
This was okay. Like, I don't know what purpose it served. I don't know what's going to benefit Maria for having the title, so... it existed. They got on the screen. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't the best promo. So it was just like, okay, it tried to keep them relevant.
Right. But speaking of being relevant, our tag team champs are back in Ring of Honor, surprisingly enough. Because we had a ROH World Tag Team Championship Proving Ground match where the Undisputed Kingdom were in this match against the challengers, the Outrunners, which I was super happy to finally see them back on my television screen.
I loved this match so much.
Me too.
I think it was Caprice had called them old school new class personified, and that's really good for the Outrunners. They were making the jokes of, maybe they were stuck in the time stream, and that's why they haven't been able to make it here, and all these other kind of time travel-y type jokes that I absolutely loved as the nerd that I am. And this match it was really well done. And I think the best part about it was, I don't know, maybe somebody from ROH is listening to us when we said we want a timer, we need a timer. They kept giving us time updates, like, oh, we're 4 minutes in, we're 5.5 minutes in. And the ending made me mad, but in like the best possible way. Because it didn't make me mad in the, production aspect or the storytelling aspect, but it made me mad as a fan because I wrote, damn, I thought they were going to make the 10 minutes at least. So I really love this match. This was almost my match of the night.
I agree. By the end of this ended up being in my top 3 for sure. And what I loved about this is because the biggest complaint we've had with the Proving Ground matches as of late is that they go on for too short, so you don't make it believable that they can make it. And it's only since the Infantry won the Proving Ground match that now this is the second one we've gotten, and the Outrunners got very close too before, ending up losing to the Undisputed Kingdom. This is how every Proving Ground match should be. Don't make it less than 5 minutes. Find that sweet spot of 6 to 8 minutes. And then we got ourselves something to chomp at the bit as fans. It's like, oh, will they, won't they? Who knows? We'll see what happens.
And you could make this almost like a gimmick for the Undisputed Kingdom too, is they pin them, but it's like 10 minutes and 1 second or 10 minutes and 5 seconds where like they've just made it, or the other team's just made it, and you could kind of keep building off of that to where the Undisputed Kingdom, I don't know if we want to break them up at any point, but you could sow the seeds of that.
Right. Honestly, I just want those tag team championships back in ROH as much as we possibly can. So it was really nice to see them in a Proving Ground match in a very, very fun, tag team bout, which led into a very fun promo because of what we're getting next week. And we're continuing a story that we started weeks ago. Backstage, we have the Infantry, and, that includes Carly Bravo, Sean Dean, and of course, Miss Trish Adora. And they're talking about, getting in the tag team division, getting those wins back up. And then they are interrupted by the Outrunners themselves, who are now sporting camo neon tights and pants, which is fantastic.
Do you want to be seen or not?
So good. And the Infantry responds like, hold up. First you try to take this, then you try to take our move. Now you're trying to take our outfits. All right, we're going to settle this. So next week... Yeah, they try to take... So ridiculous. So they're going to settle it next week on Ring of Honor, back where the Infantry began, which was in Daly's Pace in Jacksonville, Florida, the birthplace of AEW. And they're going to have a tag team match against the Outrunners. And then what made this even more beautiful is the Outrunners repeated the same thing that the Infantry said. And
like it was their idea.
Yeah.
This was so goofy, and I absolutely loved it.
Oh my gosh. I'm so happy we're finally returning to this feud between the Infantry and the
My
Outrunners.
note for this was really late. Why didn't we do this sooner, or at least have some kind of tidbits to it? But I'd like the match next week to not be a clean finish. Mm-hmm. I want something to happen so we can keep this going, because the 4 of them on screen together is just, it's magic, and we need to keep that working.
Yeah, let's do some long-term storytelling. Look, me and Andrew and Will talk about this on our TNA review, that TNA has found the success in formulas when it comes to feuds leading into pay-per-views, is you can never go wrong with the concept of a trilogy. So you have one match, then you have a second one, and then you have the rubber match to end the chapter in the feud. It's very simple. 3-act structure. Fantastic. I hope we get a trilogy with Infantry and Outrunners just escalating in how ridiculous things are going to get. But
I want to see them swap and be like the Outfantry and the Inrunners.
Just they're going back and forth. This was so good. And this led into that momentum, led into something else I really enjoyed, because we get the fire back promo, if you will, answering with what we had with our MIT crew earlier in the evening. Now we have the answer back from Queen Aminata and Red Velvet themselves. And respectively, they're calling out their opponents. Red is not done with Athena, and Queen is not done with Billy. So both of them are going to be coming for those titles. So Billy and Athena need to be on the lookout, because they're not done. And I'm super excited. I'm like, yes, continue these feuds, because I am here for the long-term storytelling between these 4, especially now it answers our question. We're like, okay, so now that Supercard of Honor is over, who's next in line for Athena and Billy?
Yeah.
And they're not done, because both Red and a Queen have gripes with the respective champions with the way that things ended, which again leads into not so clean finishes of the wins for Billy and Athena. So now get to keep long-term storytelling this, which I'm super excited with.
We can have our number 2 match for this trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be on board with this as a trilogy. And also with their statements at the end, I feel like Queen and Red Velvet would be fantastic dinner guests. They make the meal, they eat it, they leave no crumbs, and they take out the trash. Please come over for dinner whenever you'd like.
I love these two, and I'm super excited that we're having them continue to feud with Billy and Athena because, minus our gripes with how the women's TV championship final turned out at Super Card of Honor with that ending that didn't need to happen. The chemistry with Billy and Queen is fantastic, and Red has come a very long way, and her and Athena did amazing at Battle of the Belts. I want to see more of them.
Just let's not do my only caveat with this is let's not do a quick championship changeover for the TV title. Let it get some kind of reign, give it some prestige. Plus, I'd like to really see Billy with it when we go and meet her in May.
Oh, I'm so excited for Billy and Queen and just everybody else who we're going to be meeting at New Jersey Wrestle Show Saturday, May 18th, Sunday, May 19th, which we're going to be there, by the way, with our own table. So come say hi if you're coming to
Middletown, New Jersey, the charming allure of the Garden State. Come see us.
Come see us because the East Coast Collective and
join us.
Me, for some reason, are going to be there. So it's going to be a good time.
Join us.
It is. We continue with our women's action because we had our third women's match of the evening. This one saw Miss Tyia Valkyrie, who still has the most banging theme song right now. I don't care what anyone says. And taking on Lainey Luck, who is returning to Ring of Honor after a couple of weeks. We've seen Lainey before in previous episodes, and she and Tyia have a really fun match. I'm just happy to see Tyia back in the ring. She's always fantastic.
I was happy to see her in the ring. I was happy to see her get a win. It was a squash match, but it was a very well worked one. So overall, I was happy with the match.
I was too. Tyia Valkyrie picks up the win. So she and her husband, Johnny TV, pick up wins this evening. And we'll talk about them a little bit later because are they expanding Mr. and Mrs. TV?
Which we'll talk TV shortly. Ready?
Yep. Is somebody else TV ready? So then we get our next squash match. This saw Lance Archer and the Righteous take on John Cruz, once again feeding two younger talents to Lance Archer and the Righteous, and John Cruz, GPA, Ren Jones. I saw Team A, which was Lance and the Righteous. Team B of John Cruz, GPA, and Ren Jones. I'm like, sorry, Team B, you're about to get squashed, and that's exactly what happened.
That's what happened. It was a squash. It was an expected one. I still enjoyed it as a big fan of the Righteous. I feel like they get better every time I see them, and that makes me so happy. The last spot was interesting. I really liked it. I don't know much about Lance Archer screaming "everybody dies" because, you have teammates in there too, and I don't think you want them to.
Nobody wants friendly fire.
Yeah, friendly fire's turned on in this game clearly. But I think one of the best parts of it was they had the counter moment where John Cruz went to run straight at Vincent, but Dutch was there and he caught him with the Boss Man Slam. But you hear John Cruz screaming, "Oh no!" as he's running directly at Dutch like he can't stop. I was like, that was so silly, and it was perfect for that moment. I still don't know if Lance Archer fits with the Righteous. It still kind of seems like square peg, round hole. But I'm just happy to see them. I'm happy to see them getting wins and enjoying that they get more over and they improve every time they're out.
Look, if you want to have the Righteous go after the tag titles next, or even this weird,
Vincent's beaten Matt Taven before.
So I would love to see that. It would be fantastic. This was the squash match, but this was definitely a fun one. Then we probably get into the shortest match of the evening.
Yeah.
Because, we have the Living Dead girl herself, or themself, I should say, sorry. Abaddon taking on Nova. Again, very, very short. I clocked it maybe 2.5, 3 minutes, maybe pushing to 4 to be generous, but Abaddon just destroyed Nova.
Nova was smart in the very beginning as they didn't let Abaddon bite them during the Code of Honor. But I think the thing that sells Abaddon's matches so well is just the noises that they make as they're moving around the match. Not even when they're getting hit, but it's like they fall down and as they're getting up, they're making a noise, or as they're running, they're making a noise. And those constant shrieks that they do really kind of add to the immersiveness of those matches. While it was very short, I still had a good time. I still found it very entertaining.
I am going to channel the spirit of John in this one because I'm pretty sure he would agree with me on this, though I might be presumptuous. So John, if you watch this later, you can text me if I was right or wrong. And I kind of feel the same way too. I'm super happy for Abaddon. I love Abaddon. I think they're great addition to Ring of Honor. I'm just hoping we could have them in a storyline shortly because I feel that they still have unfinished business with Diamante and Mercedes. So I'm hoping, we could revisit that soon because there was a good story there because Diamante helped Mercedes advance in the tournament and Abaddon feels cheated that they were cheated out of the spot in the next round after Diamante helped Mercedes. So here's hoping we get, that story coming back soon.
I'm about 96% sure John would agree with that, and I agree with that as well. I'm just hoping that they take a few weeks to get into their stories, kind of like they did with the Outrunners and the Infantry. We didn't get any resolution of that until this program, and that was quite a few weeks ago. So hopefully it's just, making sure the timing works and then getting them into a proper story so it's not a stops or start, stop, because that's detrimental for any story. So
right.
I'm still holding hope for that.
Yes. Speaking about holding out hope, we're backstage with Mr. and Mrs. TV, Johnny TV, and Tyia Valkyrie, and they are interrupted by Aaron Solo, who is hoping he can make it onto the next season of Mr. and Mrs. TV now that all 10 episodes
He did tweet it out.
Yes, he did. Listen, if you haven't watched Tyia and Johnny's miniseries on YouTube, you need to watch it because it is ridiculous and camp. But it is my dream to do something like that too with wrestlers. Like, it is so funny and so good. It is fantastic. And Aaron Solo's like, hey, can I possibly get on season 2? And Tyia and Johnny TV turn to Aaron and be like, are you TV ready though? We're not sure if you're TV ready. So Aaron Solo promises next week he's going to win his match and prove that he is TV ready. Honestly, I'm here for the TVs expanding into a weird little faction with other folks. And you know what? Aaron Solo is a very reliable talent, and I would like to see him with Johnny and Tyia.
I am all for it. I love this pairing. I really like Aaron Solo, so I'm reasonably sure he's going to win next week. So that means that he's going to go either against Leila Gray, Robin Renegade, or a handicap match against the Iron Savages, because those who are all who consistently lose.
Yeah, that
or
makes
John
me a little
Cruz.
bit. Or John. Yo, John Cruz, though, would be kind of fun to watch him and Aaron Solo go at
It'd be
it.
a great match.
I need more John Cruz on my TV screen, honestly, because that man is entertaining as all heck. He's become one of my favorite comedic heels. And he can go in the ring too, so that's always fantastic. All right, strap in, Jesse, because now we get to the main event, and this was gassed from the very beginning. The pedal was all the way down. We were in gear 4 when the moment the bell rang, but in our main event, we had a triple threat match with Blake Christian taking on AR Fox and the newly to Ring of Honor Beast Mortis. This match balled really hard, and this was my match of the night by the end of it. This had
Mine
everything.
as well. This was fantastic. I loved it. I think we're going to need to start having separate entries for Blake Christian and Blake Christian's mustache because it's getting that thick and glorious. I laughed right out loud when Blake had tricked AR Fox saying, oh, go dive over the top rope. And then he just did a drop toe hold on him, like kicked him in the shin as he was going. That made me laugh because that's the kind of heel wrestling that I think, why don't more people do that? But I love this match. This was absolutely my match of the night. I'm always so impressed by the Beast Mortos, who I've seen him before under a different moniker. Am I right? Okay.
Yes. So Beast Mortos is the Ring of Honor name, I think, or at least within this AEW universe. Maybe exclusively Ring of Honor. Who knows? But he went by the name before in Triple and also in TNA 2 of the Black Taurus or Black Taurus, if you're certain.
That's what I thought. But always very impressive talent. So were AR Fox and Blake Christian. So I thought this was a great match.
This had everything I wanted. It had high flying action. It had speed. It had raw strength from Beast Mortis throwing people around. Blake Christian defying the laws of gravity. AR Fox
had
also
some humor in there too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. This had everything I wanted. And this was a really fun 6.5-minute match, which saw Beast Mortis pick up the victory here. If this is how we're going to end every single Ring of Honor, just give me all the high flying stuff at the very end. That is how I'll be like, you know what? This was a fun main event. But we've reached the end of this week's episode of Ring of Honor. So, Jesse, we got to do the thing that we always do here. We got to give our final empanada ratings out of 10 here. So, for this week's Ring of Honor, It's Thursday, April 25th, 2024. Jesse, what do you give for this week's ROH?
So this is one of my higher ratings, as it's been kind of dismal the past few weeks. This isn't a great rating. It's a 6.75 empanadas out of 10, but this is probably the best Ring of Honor program we've seen in maybe about 3 or 4 weeks, because it's been a little rough lately. It was kind of in the middle, but I was entertained the entire time. So I enjoyed this week. I would watch it again.
I'm right there around you. I'm going to give this slightly a little bit more. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 for me.
That's right, because I'm usually the lowest.
Well, I mean, it's relatively close because I agree with you on a lot of the stuff we've talked about this whole entire episode. And for me, as someone who as both of us have been watching this, I feel that now Ring of Honor is kind of getting out of that, okay, we had like 2 weeks leading into Supercard of Honor, and then the last couple of weeks have been getting out of Supercard of Honor and reestablishing where we are with certain things. Now I feel that we're slowly gaining traction to get back on track with just Ring of Honor, getting stories going and things like that. And it's like, all right, post Mania Supercard of Honor weekend is over. Let's get on track because we have a very long way to go unless they add more pay-per-views for ROH. The next one's not until July, so we have a long way. We have a lot of time to start telling stories, and we don't need to wait till the pay-per-view to get these on the card.
Yeah.
But Jesse, we did it. We made it through the dynamic duo.
Observe the code of honor.
Yep, observe the code of honor. Shake the hands. Me and Jesse are very thankful to have you watching this review with us. If you enjoyed what you saw, you could check out all the other stuff we got on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/BC WrestlePod. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, share this with your friends and family, and maybe your dog who watches, YouTube videos from time to time. If you want to see more stuff, you can follow us all over our social medias because we're pretty much anywhere and everywhere that has a social media platform at BC WrestlePod. If you can't enjoy our beautiful faces and commit to watching videos, you can let our voices carry you through the day, as we have audio podcast versions of all our reviews a day after the videos go up, so you're never too far away to catch up with all the goodness that goes on. And as mentioned earlier, the East Coast Collective and myself will be at the New Jersey Wrestle Show at Middleton, New Jersey, Saturday, May 18th and Sunday, May 19th. Not only will we have a merch table there, but we're also going to the wrestling show that is part of the convention Saturday night. So you can come see us and say hi. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be a good time. Next week, we are going to go from a duo to a trio, as Andrew will be back joining myself and Jesse. JVL won't be here, unfortunately. But we may have had a draft lately, so you're going to see John somewhere he normally doesn't pop up in. Stay tuned for that. I'm super excited because I've been playing the long game for this one. But me and Jesse got to get up on out of here. So from all of us here at the Bro and all of us at BC WrestlePod, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Biconic, but more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll catch you next week for the next Bro. But until then, ta-ta for now. Billy Stark's outro.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's gonna happen next time? Well, you're gonna have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.